Hello and welcome to the third episode of Candid Conversations. So, for this episode, we'll be talking about our COVID 19 efforts and what we did for our communities during that time. So, when the quarantine was announced, everybody was worried, and I already expected actually that I wouldn't be able to pay myself for the duration of the quarantine so that I could pay all of my workers. But the most affected by the quarantine were the neighbors and friends of our garment workers because a lot of them lost their jobs and they didn't have emergency funds. So we came up with programs to not only provide work for our workers but also to help their community through these different programs. So quarantine was announced March 16 and I met with one of our garment workers on that day. And she actually suggested to me that we should start making masks because there was a shortage due to the pandemic and kakatapos ng taal and everything. So I was like, okay, let's sample. And by March 19, it was already live on our page. And that's how we got a lot of traction because we were one of the first ones to make the cloth masks here in the Philippines. And we made sure that the pricing was non-profit because we didn't really want to profit from a pandemic, and we just wanted to make sure that everybody would get paid, that would cover all of our overhead costs. And eventually we started making PPEs when the Office of the Vice President released the sewing patterns, and we also made this a non-profit product, and they're all still available on our website today. No, I'm actually very thankful that we did not have to lay off any garment workers during the quarantine. And in fact, we were able to hire more displaced workers, the ones that lost their jobs during the quarantine, to make masks for us. And also, yung husbands nila are able to act as delivery boys for us because during that time, there were no couriers operating yet. So aside from the livelihood program, we also came up with several donation drives during the quarantine period. And the first one was to get funds to donate masks and PPEs to all of the frontliners that didn't have their own equipment. And the second one was a food drive. And we used the money that we got from donations to buy rice and children's milk mostly for the affected people and families in the communities of our garment workers that didn't have their own source of livelihood during that time. So we try to be as transparent as possible with our COVID efforts. So if you want to learn more about it, you can check out our highlights and you can see there the photos and reports that we published for this livelihood program. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next week for another episode of Candid Conversations. Bye!